In a small Croatian village on June 14, 1929, Frane Selak entered the world. Little did anyone know this seemingly ordinary child would grow up to become the man many would dub the luckiest unlucky man. The notes of music resonated within young Frane, leading him to embrace the vocation of a music teacher. But beneath the surface of his teaching career, the world outside was churning. The shadows of World War II loomed large during his early years, and the aftershocks of the conflict shaped his homeland. As the smoke of the war cleared, Yugoslavia emerged, its communist grip under Tito taking hold. The train's rhythmic chugging had been a comforting lullaby against the backdrop of a vast snow-covered expanse. Inside, the warmth contrasted sharply with the biting cold outside. Passengers wrapped in thick coats and scarves chatted softly or lost themselves in thought. Frane, engrossed in the music within him, gently hummed a tune that mingled with the sounds of the journey. His thoughts were on his students and the melodies he'd teach them next, a beacon of hope and passion in the winter gloom. But in a heartbeat, tranquility morphed into chaos. An unexpected jolt, like the earth itself rebelling, sent shockwaves through the carriages. A metallic screech, the horrified screams of the passengers, and the shattering of glass created a cacophony of terror. As the train lurched and took its deadly plunge into the icy waters below, the world inside turned upside down. The weight of the water pressed in from all sides, and darkness threatened to engulf everything. In the midst of the pandemonium, Frane's survival instincts kicked in. With adrenaline-fueled strength, he struck the window, shattering it. Cold water rushed in, but it also provided an escape route. With every ounce of his strength, Frane battled the icy currents, pushing himself towards the faint light above. As he broke the surface, he took a desperate, life-affirming breath. The haunting cries of those less fortunate pierced the air, a grim reminder of the fine line between life and death. Frane, against all odds, had defied fate once more. The atmosphere on the plane was a stark contrast to the chilling memory of his train accident just a year prior. The hum of the engines and the gentle turbulence felt like a gentle cradle in the vast blue sky. Frane tried to immerse himself in the world below, tracing the patterns of the landscape and letting the drone of the airplane lull him into a sense of security. As he leaned back, closing his eyes and losing himself in his thoughts, he couldn't have imagined that the specter of disaster was once again lurking close by. Suddenly, a deafening explosion shattered the serenity. Panic gripped the cabin as the plane's door was ripped away, creating a vacuum that began to pull everything out into the open sky. Chaos reigned as passengers screamed, their cries barely audible over the roaring winds. Amidst the turmoil, Frane found himself gripping his seat with Herculean strength, the force threatening to wrench him into the void. And then, as if time had slowed, he felt himself free, falling, the earth rushing up to meet him. The sight of a large haystack growing rapidly closer was the last thing he registered before impact. Dazed but miraculously unharmed, he staggered to his feet. The distant fireball and plume of smoke told the grim tale of the plane's fate. Once again, against unimaginable odds, Frane had survived. On a crisp morning, Frane boarded a bus, hoping for a journey free from the calamities of his past. The soft murmur of conversations and the hum of the engine provided a momentary solace. But as the bus meandered along a particularly treacherous stretch, fate intervened once more. A sudden downpour made the road slick, and the bus driver struggled to maintain control. With a heart-stopping lurch, the bus veered off the asphalt, the world outside turning into a blurred whirlwind. The chilling embrace of the river enveloped the bus, its rapid currents threatening to trap its passengers. Water began filling the interior and panic ensued. Frane, drawing from his previous brushes with death, acted swiftly. Battling the rising water, he managed to pry open a window and pull himself free. Gasping for breath and clinging to the riverbank, he watched in horror as the bus was swallowed by the depths. While the tragedy claimed 4 souls that day, Frayn's indomitable spirit and will to survive prevailed once again. The year 1970 found Frayn driving along the picturesque Croatian roads, always vigilant, always wary. With each journey he undertook, he hoped that perhaps this time fate would grant him a reprieve. But as he navigated a winding path, an acrid smell began to permeate the car's interior. Before he could fully register the danger, a surge of flames burst forth from the vents, turning the car into an inferno on wheels. The heat singed his hair and the searing air choked his lungs. Drawing upon his past experiences and a deep reservoir of resilience, Frayn managed to pull over and fling the door open. With mere seconds to spare, he threw himself out, rolling to safety on the roadside. Panting, with his heart racing, he looked back just in time to see his car consumed in a fiery explosion. The roaring flames stood as a testament to the relentless pursuit of destiny, and once more Frayn's uncanny ability to elude its fatal grasp. In 1973, the Croatian countryside was once again the backdrop to Frayn's dance with destiny. As he drove along a serene stretch, the gentle hum of his car's engine was abruptly interrupted by a hissing sound. An ominous glow from beneath the dashboard hinted at the danger to come. The realization hit him swiftly. Fire. The car's faulty fuel line had betrayed him, turning his vehicle into a potential death trap. Memories of the previous fiery ordeal flashed in his mind, fueling his adrenaline. Without a moment's hesitation, Frayn swerved to the side of the road. As smoke filled the cabin, he wrestled with the door, finally flinging it open. With a desperate leap, he landed on the gravel, feeling the heat of the flames on his back. Rolling to his feet, he distanced himself just as the car was engulfed, its fiery roar echoing the close calls of his past. Once again, Frayn had cheated fate, emerging unscathed from the jaws of disaster. By 1995, the bustling streets of Zagreb were blanketed in a layer of frost, with a chill of winter hanging in the air. Frayn, now weathered by age and his numerous brushes with death, moved through the city with a quiet resilience. On this particular morning, as he crossed a busy intersection, a bus, its brakes squealing in protest against the icy road, veered towards him. The world seemed to move in slow motion as Frayn braced for impact. The thud echoed through the street, drawing gasps from onlookers who expected the worst. But in a twist that had become almost characteristic of Frayn's life, he rose from the ground, dusting off his clothes. Astonished faces watched as he assessed himself, finding only minor scratches as evidence of the collision. The Grim Reaper had once again been denied, and Frayn continued on, his legend growing with each passing day. In 1996, the rugged beauty of the Croatian mountains provided a dramatic setting for Frayn's next ordeal. As he navigated the winding roads, the sun glinted off the chrome of an oncoming truck, its massive form barreling directly towards him. Time seemed to stand still as Frayn's instincts took over. He jerked the wheel, sending his car crashing through the guardrail and into the air. The world became a dizzying blur as the car plummeted down, finally erupting in a fiery explosion upon impact with the gorge below. The scene was one of utter devastation. Yet, as the thick black smoke began to dissipate, a silhouette emerged. To the disbelief of onlookers, Frayn was there, clutching a tree branch, his face a mask of shock, but his body miraculously unscathed. As he clambered up the steep incline, a profound question weighed heavily on his soul. Was he a plaything of cruel fate, or was there a greater purpose behind his string of miraculous escapes? Frayn, now in his 70s, decided to play the lottery. It was a whimsical decision, a small hope to counterbalance his years of misfortune. And then the unbelievable happened. He won. Over $1 million were now his. With his newfound wealth, Frayn decided to make the most of his life. He married for the 5th time and bought 2 houses. But eventually, realizing the fleeting nature of materialistic joys, he sold everything and decided to live a modest life in his hometown, donating most of his money to charity. As he sat on his porch, watching the sunset, he pondered his life. Perhaps he was neither cursed nor blessed. Perhaps life in all its unpredictability was just a series of events that one had to navigate, and navigate he did with a resilience that most could only dream of.